Well, it's a novel, and it's a novel which is set both in America and in Canada, and it takes place in 1960. It's a novel about an American family, the father of which is an Air Force officer. 2 children, twin boy and a girl, wife. They live in Great Falls, Montana. When the father gets out of the Air Force, he falls into financial problems almost immediately and owes money to some fairly desperate people who threaten to kill his family. And he then robs a bank to get the money. And when
he robs a bank.
He robs a bank. And when he robs a bank, he is almost immediately caught, he and his wife. And the children are dispersed. The children are sent one to California. She runs away, really, the daughter. And the little boy is sent to the province of Saskatchewan in Western Canada, which is just across the border from Montana, north. And there he falls into even worse troubles because he falls in with an American fugitive from justice who is a desperate murderer. And so that's the gist of the story.
And this father in this family, is he the archetype of a bank robber?
No, but no, he's not an archetype of a bank robber at all. He's more archetypally a good, rather doting, slightly transgressive father.
He's a nice guy.
He's a nice man who inexpertly robs a bank and rather, as I said before, immediately gets caught. But my thinking was, when I started to ponder robbing banks, probably most people who rob banks are not experts at it. Most people who rob banks are going to get caught. And so it wasn't very difficult to imagine a father of 2 robbing a bank when he gets into desperate financial peril.
I think that's a very interesting statement in the book that says that even bank robbers grow children.
Yes, they do. You don't think about, when you read in the newspapers, that this man or this woman have been caught robbing a bank, that someplace back behind the arrest there are children and a life and a car and a house. And so that was, for me, probably the most important, most significant part of writing this book, which is to say, what happens to the children of bank robbers?
One day he suddenly crosses a border. I think borders are very important in this book.
It's a book about crossing borders, really. National borders, emotional borders, borders between regular life and
moral
borders, eccentric life, yeah.
And was the book meant to investigate this matter of what makes people cross, let's say, moral borders?
That would make, if I use the word investigate, that would make writing a novel seem much more calculating than it is. I was just simply interested in borders and what I could find people able to say about borders and what I could have happen if I put the whole idea of borders into play. I mean, novels, as orderly as they may be, are rarely the same as investigations, such as the scientist would do. They're more just matters of what, Robert Frost said, art is the last vestige of our childhood. We should practice it somewhat irresponsibly.
So it's not an investigation in the traditional meaning of the word?
Not for me, no.
What is it?
What is it? It's a novel.
And it's not a statement.
Oh no, it's not a statement. It's not, I mean, if it was a statement, if I could theorize so clearly about what its statement would be, I wouldn't need to dramatize. I wouldn't need to narrate. I wouldn't need to have people say things that I couldn't predict they would say until I wrote them.
Then it would have become a non-fiction book, probably.
We're getting into the realm of the preposterous now.
Okay. How does this book relate to your other books?
It was next.
Yeah, that's just it.
That's just it.
No,
No, it's not entirely true. I have written other books which are set in Montana. I've written short stories, I've written novellas, I have written short novels, all of which are set in Great Falls, Montana. Half of this book takes place in Great Falls, Montana, the other half in Canadian provinces. But I was interested, for reasons that the novels and the stories will have to somehow illuminate, I was interested in setting events in Great Falls, Montana. I suppose it is partly because I had a notion of other books that were written in Montana, other Western kinds of settings, which seemed to me to be at variance with what I saw going on in Montana in the 60s at that time.
And was that something special, or?
Well, I hope so.
No, but what happened in Montana that didn't happen in?
Oh, just the regular life. I mean, you know, I grew up in a part of America which is very parochial and isolated, which is to say the South, Mississippi. And I was interested to know what the rest of the country was all about when I was a boy. So I went all over the country, to Montana, to New Jersey, to California, to New England. And I was interested in how much, and this goes somewhat against the grain of commonplace thinking, I was interested in how much normal life in Mississippi resembled normal life in Montana. You can have in your head in America notions that the country is made up of very, very, very distinct kinds of regions, and that life in one region is notably different from life in another region. And what I was interested in finding out and in writing about was that that isn't true, that regular life here in Montana is very much like regular life there in Mississippi.
Okay. And my feeling is that you are maybe interested in very ordinary people.
I'm interested in people, period, because
But there's
the
no
notion of ordinary people is dispelled when you look closely at them. When you only look at people from a distance, a demographic distance, a sociological distance, then you can allow yourself the privilege of calling them ordinary. But when you look at people closely, they become interesting.
Everybody's special. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm only saying what I'm saying.
And what about Canada? This boy,
He's taken across the border by a friend of his mother's against his will and without even knowing where he's going and placed into the custody of someone who's unknown also to his mother, but who will take care of him. His mother wants him to escape the juvenile authorities in the United States. And so this man who takes him is an American, but no one knows until you get to this point in the book that this man, whose name is Arthur Rimlinger, is a fugitive from justice himself. He's committed murder in America and is being sought by the police and is hiding out in Canada.
but are you writing about Canada as some sort of a mirror of the United States, or like I was looking for mirrors in the book. There's normality,
Sorry.
and within normality, there's the possibility of bank robbing for normal people.
Yes.
There's the United States and there's Canada. Could it also be a book about mirrors or mirroring?
No, I don't think so. I think that what interested me about Canada, and goes on interesting me about Canada, is that when you cross the border from America, almost anywhere along the 49th parallel into Canada, Canada looks, and this maybe would make it seem like a mirror image, but Canada looks very much like America, but is profoundly different. And I was thereafter interested in the ways in which we as adults are responsible morally, intellectually, ethically, in terms of our own survival, in being able to distinguish the fine significances between things that look alike but are different. I mean, it seems to me that's a skill that people acquire as they get older and that allows them to survive. I mean, Canada, for me, is a probably better country than America. And I thought it was, in my novel, a place where my character, Del Parsons, could be saved and renewed and restored.
Okay. Talking about your writing, what I found very interesting is that when I started reading the book, I very soon know that there will be a bank robbing.
Yes.
There will be people killed.
Yes.
You give that away to me, and nevertheless I keep on reading the book. Why did you?
Why wouldn't you? I mean, do I have to hide that? Do I have to make people jump out of closets and? No.
Many authors do.
No, I think that, I think that that's a misunderstanding. I think that you enter a book, and when you are told the first things you are told, no matter if they are bank robberies or murders or whatever they are, the beginning of any novel must promise you something. It takes control of your discretion. It provides you an amount of information that piques your curiosity, and that maybe it isn't, as I say, something as dramatic as a bank robbery, but it's something in the first pages, the first paragraphs, that causes you to say, oh, I want to find out what happens. I think disclosing at the beginning of my book that bank robberies are going to occur or that murders are is not very different from any other good paragraph. So that the whole idea that you have to suddenly surprise the reader, I think that's probably ultimately not true with novels. You always surprise the reader to some extent, but first paragraphs basically say to the reader, keep going.
But then again, is it in the writing itself that keeps me going?
Well, it should be every single gesture that the book makes. It should be every sentence. It should be every choice of word. It should be the substance of every sentence. It should be how the sentences are long and short, how they are syncopated. I mean, all of the skills of writing a novel largely are in behalf of getting the reader to read all of the words and to get to the end. So everything I do when I'm writing a sentence is basically saying to the reader, come on, come with me a little farther.